So I've got 10 gaming changing tips, and I've been playing the game for several months now. As you can see, I've been playing for 130 days, so I've been playing the game for a while. And the first tip that comes to mind is it's a really common thing, but yet people, I guess, don't know about this. But if you go in here and you challenge somebody and you hit fight, did you know that you could just leave and it just works? You didn't know. Now you know. And it gives me another thing. I guess not everybody knows this, but let's say you're doing alliance mobilization and you just need to do a gather quest. Like, I don't know, you need to gather 20 million. Did you know that if you've got the pet, aka the ox, burden bearer, and you go out to a 14 mil deposit, you get the full 14 million and it counts towards the quest? Did you know that? If you didn't, now you know, because it does work. Okay, something else, and this is the third tip, right? Did you know that exclusive gear stacks? That is to say that if you send 3 heroes as a rally captain, right? Did you know that this 15% actually gets tacked on? If you send, say, somebody like Geronimo, you actually get 30 because they both do the same thing. So you get rally troop attack by 15, and then you also get the 15 that comes along with me. You didn't know that. That's a thing. The other thing, and then this is kind of correlated into the tip, right? It's more of a fourth tip, more or less. But this is something else I learned not that long ago. But did you know that if you go in and you pop a troop health or any of these bonuses, basically, right? Like any of these bonuses, right? So any of these. Did you know that these also get factored in? So if let's say you're getting 30% attack, well, 20% is also getting thrown in with that stat. You can actually add those together, and that stat then multiplied on your core stat, as well as added, actually effectively answers that giant chunk of stats that you're going, why is it that this guy's 500 and this guy's over here 700? That's why. Because it's multiplied on the core stat. And the easiest way I can explain this to you is if you look at like a report, and let's say, for example, all right, I'll poke in, bring up Marwan, for example, where he has 900%. You can go into the special bonuses and it'll tell you, oh, you get a 10% bonus for this, but you get a 10%. That's where this is coming in from, okay? So if you've ever wondered, why is it that I've got this bonus and that guy's got that bonus? It's in the special bonuses tab. And that's what's actually getting factored into your core stat. Now, if you're wondering, how do I know what my core stat is? That's a little easier to answer. Basically, all you need to do is whenever you send a march on something and you hit attack, right? There's this little icon up here that you can tap, and it'll tell you what your core stats are. So you can actually take that core stat and then take the percentage of these two and multiply. And then you can also take aside that percentage, right, and add it to it, and then basically bring those two together, and you'll actually get a pretty good idea of what your core stat's going to be in that rally, in case you didn't know. That said, okay, for the third tip, and again, if that doesn't make any sense, don't sweat. There's actually some tutorials on the Whiteout Survival Discord that'll very fluently explain this, even though I'm probably butchering it for you, which I'm sorry. But that said, of course, now you might be thinking, all right, now how does hero gear play into this? Okay, I've always said, and this is something I've always told you, is you want to have one set for infantry, one set for marksmen, and one set for lancers. Okay, you need 3 decent sets that you maximize and upgrade. Okay, but one thing that a lot of people do not understand is that these only apply when you are the rally captain, not when you join the rally. Okay, if you're joining the rally, it doesn't apply. The second thing that needs to be known here is actually, what does it do? Well, if you look at it, it's increased in lethality, health. These are incredibly important bits and pieces, but that's not all it's doing. It's also improving their attack and health, which is relevant in arena. So if you're wondering, why does a hero or a set of heroes inside arena have a stupid amount of power compared to your heroes, even though you're using the same heroes and they're at the same level? The major difference as to why you can have a level 80 Geronimo with a level max star and it's all the same, the only massive difference is in that gear that they've got on, including that exclusive that they're wearing. That is all factored in into Arena. So if you didn't know, now you know. Okay. Now, something else that comes up, and this is more, going into the fourth tip of things. I might have been in my fifth tip at this point. Who knows? I lose track. But one thing that you should know is that how do you determine a hero is a defender or an attacker is in their exclusive game? Because you'll notice increasing defender troop is a pretty substantial difference from something like, for example, let's say if I look at Molly, it says defender troop lethality. Oh, wait, there's a different stat that's being changed here. But wait a minute, rally troop lethality. That's where it becomes incredibly relevant. You want to pay very close attention to this between rally and defender. This is what makes some heroes more valuable than others, depending on what the use case of it is going to be used for. It's incredibly important, but it's all factored in their exclusive gear. And of course, you might be thinking, but what about my purples? Don't my purples have exclusive gear? No, they don't. So don't think about it. You don't have that problem. You only have it in gold. It's just one of those little things, Anyways, you might be wondering, well, hey, I don't have this guy. Where the hell did you get him? Well, he's a Gen 3 hero. And you might be thinking, what the heck's a gen? What is this and what is the relevance? Okay, main thing is that gens are, in our head anyway, think of the server starting from age 1, and after a week, it's after a certain amount of time. And after a certain amount of time, oh, hey, new heroes. That's Gen 2. Oh, hey, a little bit of time later. Oh, hey, new heroes, Gen 3. Now you know what the generations are. And the basic premise is, and this is advice that can go down to the road, okay? You can invest in the heroes, right? And you'll hear people say this. Oh, you should get Geronimo. You should get this. You should get that. Well, it's only relevant for that amount of time. That is to say, every 2 generations prior, heroes become redundant. They're not as useful. That is to say, somebody by the time they get to Gen 4 is going to not use Gen 1 or Gen 2. Because typically, they're going, yeah, don't really have any use for it. And part of the reason why is because the stats are at 200 compared to, say, like even at Gen 3, where it's starting to get well over 200 pretty quickly. It won't take long. Okay, when you get a fully maxed out Greg and a fully maxed out set of Gen 3, it becomes irrelevant after a certain point, and that's the reason why. This is why when somebody's trying to make suggestions for you when it comes to heroes, it's incredibly important to know what generation of heroes are available to you in your state. Now, going into the world of other tips and advice that I have for you. Does that mean I should invest in heroes or should I not? Is entirely dependent on whether or not you're willing to spend to upgrade them and get them upgraded day 1. If not, don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. But when you do spend for the advantage at that point in time, the way this game works is you splurge, you get the advantage. Don't splurge, don't get the advantage. So don't think about spending, oh, I'm going to upgrade this hero over time and then it'll be worth it. Well, by the time Gen 4 comes around and you just upgrade Gen 1, it's pretty much, that's why if you want my 2 cents in terms of what should you really prioritize, it's that gear that I was referring to earlier, because you can pick up this gear and you can just pull it off, put it on a new one. Easy peasy. Next thing that, a lot of people throw away but don't pay much attention to is their hero. Right? A lot of people like to look at the heroes. The next big bust thing in the world is gear enhancement and charm upgrades, which are on your chief. That's something that you can hang on to for as long as you like. So if you want my 2 cents, prioritize that. Don't prioritize the heroes as much. Now, getting into the realm of my next tip here. Okay? Being that, yes, nothing is unlocked on day 1. Okay, that is to say, if you don't have pets, don't sweat, you will get pets eventually. You don't see Greg, you'll get Greg eventually. It's a timeline. You can look it up on the Whiteout Survival Discord if you'd like. But eventually you'll get Fire Crystal too. And there's a whole different ball of wax involved in that, all on its own. Okay? But, one of the things that I think a lot of people kind of, they don't pay very much attention to, but they really should, you need to do your intel missions. And you want to do your beast hunts. You want to do your intel all the time. And I mean it. Because there's freebies in these intel missions, like your Fire Crystals. Okay, that yes, if you're that guy that doesn't do your intel missions, you're wasting a lot of stuff for no reason. You get a 6-hour refresh on these, okay? So if you're not terribly quick about it, we understand. But you gotta make sure you get your loot. It's just easy, accessible loot. Honestly, it's kind of a no-brainer. My last and final tip for this video is more a question that people have from time to time. And it's kind of a question of, what do I upgrade first? Do I make new troops? Or do I promote them? What should I do first? What should I do? What's more preferred? Should I do like this troop and then at some point do this troop? The answer to your question, promote them. If you have smaller, weaker, lower leveled units, always promote them. Do not start training new ones, just promote them. Then get all your troops up to the highest tier possible. Then you can start training when you don't have anything left to promote. It's logical. It works. Don't stress it. Don't make it complicated. It's easier that way. Because then, whenever you get hit and you get attacked, because you almost always will, you don't have a bunch of your weak-ass troops going in the infirmary, filling up the infirmary, and leaving all your dead, wonderful, good, high-tier troops for waste. Hopefully this video helped you out, and a handful of tips that I gave you along the way. But if you have any other suggestions, thoughts, or anything else you didn't know, feel free to ask in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys to the next video.